Welcome student in our today's section of subject hydraulics and pneumatics, and today we are going to see the next part of our chapter number 3. So here I'm opening this PDF, and you can see this 4 by 3 direction control wall here. So you already know the meaning of this 4 by 3 is the 4-way and 3 position direction control walls. You can see here this complete diagram of 4 by 3 direction control wall. This direction control wall is lever operated, that's why we show this lever here, and this is the detain type. So but these three rectangles are the 4 by 3 direction control wall, and these three are the 3 positions here. Here I am going to show you the positions. Okay, so this is the position 1, this is the position 2, this is the position 3 here. Okay, this complete rectangle, first it is the position 1, this is the position 2, and this is the position 3. The second position can be named as the central position. You can see here, this is the second position is named as the central position. This P denotes the port for the pump, this T denotes the port for the tank, and this A and B are the ports to the actuators here. Then this is the closed center 4 by 3 direction control wall, and this position this position, it is the central position of this 4 by 3 direction control wall. So now we are going to see that how this different types of central positions can be made in this 4 by 3 direction control wall in the next topic here. Okay, so here we are. The center position of this direction control wall. So here we are going to see that how many central positions can the 4 by 3 direction control wall have. So this is the first type of position of this direction control wall, and is center position here. The first one is the open center type center position of this direction control wall. Here's all the ports having the name as I show you here. This port P, this port P, then port T, here this port T, this port A, and this port B. All these ports are assumed here, and we are naming this according to this. So here this is the port P, this is the port T, this is the port A, and this is the port B here. Okay, so in this open center type, all ports are connected. All ports are connected to tank, and this wall is good to use if there is no negative load. I already teach you that what is this negative load. Negative load, it is the load which comes by the gravity there. So when there is no negative load, at that time all ports are kept connected. Then this is the closed center type position. We already see here this is the closed center type, means all port A, B, port P, and port T, all ports are closed here. So all ports are closed, and the wall is useful for holding the falling load, but it is not useful in avoiding overheating of the coil. I already teach you that how this holding of load is essential, and how this overheating of oil occurs. We already take this concept previous to this. Then the third position is the tandem center type, where the port P is connected to the port T, and port A and B are remains closed. That's why what will happen? Hence, it can hold the falling load. How it can hold the falling load? I take this concept in brief. Previous to this lecture, if you have any doubt, then go and check to the previous that how why this holding load is required. And here this port P is connected to tank T, hence it avoids the overheating of the fluid and saves the power. Here what happens, the port is directly connected to the uh, pump port P is directly connected to the pump to the tank port T, then the high pressure will not develop inside this circuit and this as this actuator has idle position, so no supply of oil to the actuator is needed. So what happens, this pump directly supplies the oil to the tank, so no high pressure is developed here, and as no high pressure, no temperature rise occurs, and pump remain pumping the fluid at low pressure, so no pump power is required there. Then fourth type is the regenerative type, regenerative center type. Here you can see here port P is connected to the port A and B, and port T is remain closed. Here you can read here port P and cylinder port A and B are connected, and tank port T is closed. This valve is used as a regenerative circuit. That's why we name it as regenerative center type valve. Then fifth position is the float type center. You can see here both A and B are connected to port T, and pump port P is remained closed here. Then these are the some another types of this. Another type, but main important types of these are listed here, which are 5. These are the some extra type. Where here you can see port A is connected to the port P and T, and where the port P is remain closed. Here you can see pump port P and port B remains closed, and port A is connected to the tank. All these are the center positions of this direction control valve here. Okay. Now this is the we are going to see today this 5/2 direction control here. So you can see this is the one position, and this is the another position. You can see here it is having the 5 ways. This is the 1, this is the 2, this 3, this 4, and this is 5. So that's why we name it as 5-way and 2 position direction control valve. Here you can read 5/2 direction control valve is used to operate double acting cylinder. It has 5 ports, namely pump port P, cylinder port A and B, tank port P1 and T1 and T2. Here we can see this 5/2 sliding spool valve here. Here in this figure they already shows us 5/2 sliding spool type direction control valve. Okay, you can see this port name here. This is port A, port B, port P, and port T here. Okay, this is the tank port T1. This is the port P for pump here. You can see these 2 positions can be achieved here. These positions they show us here. That tank port T1 remains closed, and port P is connected to the port A. Here you can see this tank T1 port remains closed, and this port P1 is connected to the port A. That's why you can see fluid can flow from this port P to port T, and same way fluid can flow from port B to port T2 here. Okay. Similarly, another position may be that port A is connected to the tank port T1, and port P is connected to the port B here, and tank 2 remains, port T2 remains closed here. Here you can see this is the second position where tank port T1 is connected to the port A, and port B is connected to the port P, and tank port T2 remains closed here. Similarly, we are having this in the form of the rotary spool also. We already took this, saw this rotary spool wall where the same function can be performed that P is connected to the A tank port T1 remains closed, and this port B is connected to the port T, and in the next position this port P is connected to the port B, and port A is connected to the uh, tank port T1, and this tank port T2 remains closed here. So this is the rotary spool type, and this is the sliding spool type 5/2 direction control wall here. So here again we are having this 4/2 is preferred for hydraulic system and 5/2 is preferred for the pneumatic system. For hydraulic system 4/2 is preferred because it has only one tank port and one return pipeline is sufficient per wall, and 5/2 is not preferred because it has two tank port and two return pipes are required per wall. And here for pneumatic system does not need return lines. Air is free to exhaust to atmosphere at the exhaust port of the wall itself. 5/2 wall is preferred because its construction is simpler than 4/2 wall in case of sliding spool type. Hence, cost of 5/2 wall is less than the 4/2 direction control wall here. That's why 4/2 wall is preferred in hydraulic circuit and 5/2 wall is preferred in pneumatic circuit. Here we are going to study the method of actuation of direction control wall. So these are the methods of actuation. First method is the manual type operation, which is first one is the lever operated direction control wall, then palm button operated direction control wall, third one is the push button operated direction control wall, and fourth one is the foot pedal operated direction control wall. If your direction control wall comes with the symbol like this, if direction control wall comes up with the symbol like this, then this symbols denotes the types of this operation. As this first one is the lever operated, second one is the palm button operated, third one is the push button operated, and the last one is the foot pedal operated direction control wall. Then when it comes to the automation, then we are having the wall name as solenoid operated wall. This is the single solenoid wall, and this is the double solenoid wall. If this is connected only on the single side, then it becomes single solenoid, and if this type of structure is connected on the both side of the wall, then it becomes double solenoid direction control wall. A pilot operated. Then you know that the pilot operated, these pilots are just used to reduce the manual efforts. So we name it as a pilot operated direction control wall. Here you can see this is the single pilot operated direction control wall, and this is the double pilot operated direction control wall here. Okay. Now we are going to see this two-stage wall. So what are the two-stage wall? The two-stage wall, actually it is the complete assembly of the two walls. For this purpose, okay, we are starting from this. When large flow rate is required at high pressure, naturally we need to have large size wall. But this practice difficult is that it is difficult to ship the spool of large size wall. Normally what happens when the size of wall is very large, which is designed to operate the high pressure. So at this time what will happen, will requires very large size wall, and large power is required to operate such wall. So for this purpose large size wall is made and pilot operated. So for this purpose we are using the large size wall, but it is a pilot operated to reduce the efforts to open and close the spool or to move the spool. That's why we are make it as a pilot operated, and the pilot operated by means of a small size wall. Both these walls are assembled in a single housing, and here it is named as a two-stage wall. The small size wall may be made up of maybe operated manually or pilot operated or maybe a solenoid operated here. This is the symbolical representation of this two-stage pilot operated valve. This is the main valve and this is the small valve which is operating the pilot here. Here this position of this small valve affects the position of the large valve here, this main valve here. Okay. Okay, now we are going to see another concept of another valve today, which is the flow control valve. So this is the flow control valve which is used to control the flow of or mass flow rate of the oil in the hydraulic circuit, and it directly having effect on the speed of the actuator. So if we need to control the speed of actuator, then flow rate should be in control manner. To control this flow, we are going to use the flow control valve here. Okay. There are various types of flow control valve. First one is the flux restriction flow control valve, the variable restriction flow control valve, then flow control valve with reverse free flow, then pressure compensated flow control valve. All these valves we are going to study today in systematic manner here. So this is the fixed restriction flow control valve. Actually, what is this valve? It is not a valve. It is simply a restriction with a small opening orifice. When fitted to in the system, the working fluid has to flow through the small hole. Here, the working fluid has to pass through a small hole. That's why it is named as the fixed restriction flow control valve. It is not a valve. Actually, it is not going to open or close. It is just a permanent restriction to the moving fluid here. Then again we are having another type which is variable restriction flow control valve. As this is the variable restriction, we attach this arrow here to the symbol of restriction flow control, fixed restriction flow control valve, and this arrow represents the variability in the restriction of the flow. Here this restriction, variable in restriction is provided with this screw type arrangement here. So we can adjust the restriction to the flow by using this screw. By turning it upward and downward, we can adjust the restriction to the flow. Hence we name it as variable restriction flow control valve here. Okay. This is the flow control valve with reverse flow. Normally this is the one directional flow. Like this flow is coming from this way and this is going to this way out. But it is having restriction here. As you can see, this is having the restriction here by this screw. So this is the restriction in only one direction. But if this flow, we want the restriction only in the one direction and not in the reverse flow. So what we will do? So when we need not need any restriction in the reverse direction, so we are just attaching this check valve here. As this check valve just open and close, it does not providing any restriction to the flow which is coming from this direction to this direction. So this becomes the flow control valve with reverse free flow, because this is the reverse flow where when flow is coming from outside and moves inside. When this is the reverse flow comes, it does not provide any restrictions here. So this valve is used to control the flow rate only in one direction, and in other direction the flow does not control. So we name it as a reverse free flow direction control valve. By this slow forward stroke and quick return cylinder, it is possible. Such quick return motion is required to machine like shaper planer and slotting machine. When we require this quick return mechanism, at that time we are going to use the reverse free flow, and to get this reverse free flow we are going to use the flow control valve with reverse free direction. Then this is the pressure and temperature compensated flow control valves. Here in case of hydraulic system, the control of rate of flow of oil, we use flow control valves. By opening the flow control valves, we can increase the flow, and by closing it, we can reduce the flow. We can keep the flow opening in the required flow rate. Here we can compensate both pressure as well as temperature. So how we are going to have this attain this temperature and pressure compensation, we can see here. So this is the diagram for this flow control valve along with the pressure and temperature compensation. You can see this is the element for the flow restriction, flow control valve. This is the element, and this is the another element which is, we name it as a pressure sensitive spool. This is the spool, and this spool is the pressure sensitive. So for this pressure compensation, this spool comes to help, and this is the two, it is the temperature sensitive element, and using this two we can compensate the pressure as well as temperature. So how we are going to achieve the pressure compensation, it is explaining here. If the inlet pressure P1 increases, then the rate of flow will increases. Here what will happen if the inlet pressure P1 increases, then what will happen? If this spool is not present here, and if the temperature pressure P1 increases, then this high pressure can move to the system, and the system can be explode or suffer from the high pressure. So to avoid this, we are going to use this pressure compensate, and when we are going to use this pressure compensated flow control valve, at this time when this pressure P1 increases, the inlet pressure act as the spool. The inlet pressure act on the spool from the top, and the spool moves down. Hence there is a flow reduction, and flow reduces to the normal. Here what happens? When this inlet pressure P1 increases, this pressure P1 exert pressure on this top of the spool 1, and this spool moves to the downward direction, and as this spool moves to the downward direction, it closes the flow here, and the flow is get reduced. Because of this, the pressure inside the system get reduced here, and we compensate the pressure here like this. And similarly, if the outward pressure P of O increases, then the rate of flow will decreases. How? If the outward pressure P2 is increases, then to compensate this in this mechanism, outlet pressure act as a spool from bottom, and the spool moves up. Thus the area increases and the flow comes to the normal. Here what will happen if this output pressure PO increases, then this spool will move to the upward, and the area will be get increases, and the pressure of this entire system comes to the normal here. Similarly, for this temperature compensation, we are going to use this temperature sensitive element here. You can see here. This two is the temperature sensing element. So what will happen when the temperature of the oil increases? This spool, this element too will get enlarged here. If the temperature T of working fluid increases, then naturally its viscosity will reduces, and hence rate of flow will increases. To compensate this mechanism, there is a temperature sensitive element. It has a high thermal expansion, and it expands as rising temperature and reduces the passage for working fluid to flow. Hence the flow comes to the normal. Here what will happen when the temperature of the fluid increases, then the viscosity of the fluid goes on decreasing, and because of this high rate of fluid will flow through the system. To eliminate this or to compensate this, what we are doing, we are using this temperature sensing element too, and this temperature sensing element expands when the temperature of the fluid increases, and it closes this orifice here, causes to move less fluid in the system, and because of this the temperature will comes to the normal here. Okay, so we are stopping here. Next we will see in the next section. Thank you.